Hello, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough. And we're starting with a vlog retrospective style video talking about something that has closed down as of this video a couple days ago, as a matter of fact. I'm recording this on the last day of 2025, but it's going to be uploaded near the end of the week, so yeah, this is something I've been planning for a while. I wanted to do a video talking about the Cartoon Network Hotel for a very long time, since it was something that was relatively close to my neck of the woods. And funny enough, I went down for not a whole weekend, but I was there for a day. I was there for a couple hours to get some footage of the place. And like the following weekend, or maybe like 2 weekends after that, I get a notification from my good friend Ryan Walterson, and he sends me a link to a video from Shafrilla Productions, who's a fellow Pennsylvanian and movie reviewer and animation critic online and all that. And he did a video talking about it too. Him and his girlfriend went for, I think, a whole weekend, and they also went in October. I went in December, just a couple weeks before it eventually shut down, so yeah, and I was only there for a very limited amount of time. I didn't even get a suite or a room or anything like that. I just went around, I got breakfast there, and I saw some of the other sites that were to behold at the now closed Cartoon Network Hotel. But the two main reasons I wanted to talk about this is because, one, it's relatively close to where I am, and the second reason being I've talked about a bunch of stuff similar to this before. I've talked about a bunch of different Disney theme parks and attractions, and when I did my Summer of SpongeBob video talking about SpongeBob Live Entertainment, I talked a little bit about the Nick Hotel and some of the attractions that SpongeBob was attached to, both there and various other parks. And in the time since, Nickelodeon, I guess, has created a theme park in New Jersey, so there's that. But yeah, whenever I see people do video editorials or, this recent wave of videos of people talking about the Cartoon Network Hotel, a lot of people saying that inevitably it's going to get a Defunctland video, so I wouldn't be surprised. It feels like right in Defunctland's wheelhouse. But yeah, I've seen this recent wave of people talking about it, and the biggest question that's on everyone's mind is, why Lancaster, PA? Why not somewhere like California or Florida or even somewhere like New York? Why, of all places, Lancaster, PA? Well, that's one of those things where you do a little bit of research and you get your answer, and the answer itself isn't really that satisfying. Basically, what you need to know is it started off as a Ramada hotel back in '71, opened by Earl Clark, and it was meant to be connected to the theme park Dutch Wonderland, which was located right next door. And it would basically serve as a hotel line that you could stay at while families were visiting Dutch Wonderland. And Dutch Wonderland is kind of like a Knoebels, which I also did a video talking about, but it's on a much smaller scale. And unlike Knoebels, which is giant, Dutch Wonderland is a lot smaller, and it's more comprised of nothing but kiddie rides, essentially. But yeah, so this was supposed to be a hotel where people could stay at, and it was owned by Earl Clark until eventually '74, a couple years later, when it was bought out by Michael Gleiberman. And Gleiberman, as well as his family, have pretty much run the hotel line ever since, until around 2018, when the company that owns Dutch Wonderland, Palace Entertainment, started working out a deal with Cartoon Network, which is in turn owned by Turner, which now is in turn owned by Warner. Two companies that are already owned by even bigger companies trying to work out a deal. And one of the reasons for its closure, the main reason pretty much, at first I thought it would have been like a financial thing, and well, it kind of is. Like, I thought it was because it was losing money, but the main reason is because of licensing. Because Cartoon Network doesn't want to have to keep licensing its image and its characters and whatnot. It started in 2020 when everything was under lockdown and nobody could go to anything. The mall, the movie theaters, restaurants. So the fact that they wanted to open in 2020, and they didn't start when they initially said they were going to. They were going to do it in March, and of course March is when COVID broke out. And then I think they eventually opened near the end of summer of 2020, when like regulations and safety measurements were put into place. I wanted to see it for myself before it inevitably closed. So even though this video is coming out just a couple days after it inevitably got shut down, I wanted to do a video highlighting some of the stuff that I got to see while I was there. Once you roll up to the place, you see it has the Finn and Jake statues out front. It has the Cartoon Network logo that's really giant, and of course the actual building logo of Cartoon Network Hotel right in front. There are a bunch of these line drawings of characters all around the walls, and also the sliding doors at the front. I will say this, the people that worked there, very friendly. The people who worked there were very nice. The front desk people, the people at the cartoon kitchen. The person working at the gift shop was really nice. She complimented my hoodie, and we had some chatting back and forth about the state of the place before it is going to shut down. The breakfast area was pretty neat. I liked a lot of the artwork that was on there. I remember Shafilla Productions pointed out in his video that the dinners they had there, they tried to name certain items after characters, but they really got lazy with it after a while. The breakfast they had there was very standard stuff, but I really liked what they had. They had scrambled eggs, bacon, waffles, some pancakes, they had sausage. I went for the typical bacon, eggs, and waffles, and I gotta say, I was actually really impressed with the waffles. Like, I don't know what it was, like the eggs and bacon were really good, but the waffles themselves I actually thought were really, really good. They were very soft, very fluffy waffles. I thought they did a really good job with that. I also really liked the aesthetics. They had all the different areas of the kitchen that were laid out. You had these like little nook areas that had TVs that were, of course, always playing Cartoon Network shows. I think when we were there, they were playing episodes of Craig of the Creek. But yeah, they had an area themed to Ben 10, they had an area themed to Powerpuff Girls. One thing I do remember from the Shafrillas video that I do agree with is it feels like they were trying to lean into the modern Cartoon Network shows, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it is kind of sad for anybody who might be going for the nostalgia aspect. There really wasn't any old school Cartoon Network representation. Like, even on the walls, you think they would have put some like artwork from their older shows or something like that? Nothing. Like, no Samurai Jack, no Ed, Edd n Eddy, no Kids Next Door. I mean, there is Powerpuff Girls, but it's the 2016 one, so yeah, make do with that. But other than that, the breakfast itself was pretty good, and I thought the breakfast area was laid out very neatly. I liked a lot of the work that went into the art that went on the walls and stuff. They had somebody in a Ben 10 costume walking around. I heard him walking away and talking to somebody else, and the guy was, you could just tell he was done with his shift. He was just like, all right, cool, I'm just gonna go and get something to eat. Like, it sounded like some like guy in his 20s or whatever. He wasn't even trying to do the Ben 10 thing. But you know what? I mean, he was pretty much wrapping up his shift, but it was one of those things I thought was really funny. So then I spent my time wandering around, seeing the sites that were in this place. I went into a bunch of the different areas. There was a bar area themed to We Bare Bears where you can get snacks, and they also had some vintage video game arcade cabinets. Like, they had one for Donkey Kong and a couple of others. And I thought it was pretty neat. I'm assuming this was supposed to be just an area where you can get snacks, like they have in a lot of hotel lobbies. Except, of course, the big thing was it was themed to We Bare Bears. I also find it funny it was a bar area. I could just imagine, like, the lone parent every once in a while slipping off while their kids are off in the Toon Room, which is, like, right across the hall. So the parent can just come over here and not just grab some snacks, but also grab some booze. I don't know, something about that was kind of funny. The fact that you're getting booze in the same area where there's just a giant illustration of We Bare Bears on the wall, something about that is pretty funny. But yeah, right across the hall is the Toon Room, which is basically just an activity area. It kind of felt like a daycare area. There was like a bunch of kids doing arts and crafts and stuff. Apparently they actually have like movie nights there where they show off popular movies. Like, again, going back to Shafrilla's video, I remember he mentioned they were showing the Steven Universe movie. It makes me wonder what other kind of movies they would show there, because apparently there was also a dance party that went on a while ago, and they played songs from K-pop Demon Hunters and Madagascar, neither of which are Cartoon Network themed. I'm assuming they also played Cartoon Network show songs. Like, they probably played songs from like Steven Universe, maybe. I would only assume. But right next to the Toon Room, there was the Omnicade, which is a Ben 10 themed arcade, and well, right away, I noticed as soon as I walked in, it smelled like weed. It was not a very big arcade either, so somebody was hotboxing in there. I don't know. I would love to know, anybody who's been to the Cartoon Network Hotel before it shut down, was that a common thing? Did it smell like pot to anyone else? And the arcade there, it was very small. It had like a couple of typical arcade games there. Like it had like a Dance Revolution type thing and like a little basketball hoop game and like the typical stuff like that. The thing that stuck out to me the most were the two crane games where you can get stuffed animals of Powerpuff Girls characters and We Bare Bear characters. So that was probably the coolest thing in there. Along with a lot of the line art, which is using the new Cartoon Network aesthetic of using pastel red, yellow, and blue. They also had a bunch of artwork of the show all over the walls, and they were framed, and it was very cool to see those. I thought they did a really good job. But again, if I may nitpick, I thought it would have been pretty cool if they had artwork depicting older shows. Like if they had concept art for like Courage the Cowardly Dog, Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Samurai Jack, Kids Next Door, maybe even like the older generation Ben 10s. You know, I feel like if they had some artwork for shows like that, that could have been pretty cool. That could have been like a good way to unify both the old and the new Cartoon Network. I don't really remember that much about the Nick Hotel, but I do remember they at least tried to shift characters around from different Nick shows. Like I remember back when they had like the whole big sliming area, they actually had big cutouts of shows that Nick inevitably screwed over. Like they had Avatar up there. They had Jenny from Teenage Robot, of all things. Like, and that was one of the most screwed over shows on Nick. So in a way, it's just kind of sad to see. It's like they're trying to highlight the same 5 or 6 shows that Cartoon Network has anymore. And a lot of the shows are good, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Adventure Time is good, regular show. Didn't see that much regular show, surprisingly. But, I mean, yeah, like regular show's good. Haven't seen Ben 10 in forever. Teen Titans Go. Of course, everyone on the internet loves that, right? Powerpuff Girls 2016. Steven Universe I've talked about before in another video when I talked about the movie. Gumball I like. Then we got to the gift shop, which I still have the bag and a lot of the stuff that came with it. I bought a couple of things, and I'm going to show them off right now. First of all, I have a Cartoon Network hat that still has a tag on it. Standard drinkware. We got a water bottle, and then we got a bag inside of a bag where we have a Cartoon Network mug. Overall, I think they did a very good job with both of these. They're both the right level of sterile, but still they got that Cartoon Network branding to keep it recognizable. It's just the typical playing cards. All right, well, I mean, I guess it's neat to have the Cartoon Network Hotel branding on the back, but man, I thought there would be something a little bit newer. Like, you think they'd at least go to try and put, like, the faces of characters on there. I did check out the hotel area itself, and, well, there are apparently 4 suites. In fact, that's the other thing. Whenever I see people do videos talking about the suites, I always see people saying, $500 for one weekend in these suites? Are you kidding me? So, again, I can't speak from experience, but yeah, I mean, especially if the suites aren't anything all that great. But I did go out to the swimming area, and much like Shafrilla, didn't go swimming because his video was filmed in October. Mine was filmed in December. There is an indoor swimming area, but I didn't go there to swim, so I didn't even check that out, but I did see the building for it. I did see the pool area closed, and I saw that they had like a nifty looking slide for the swimming pool, and the sign in front of it had a very clever play on the land of Ooh, but it was the land of Pool, and it had Adventure Time branding on the sign. Okay, yeah. And then there's also like a little like sprinkler area next to that, which is Powerpuff Girls themed. So there was that. But overall, I can definitely say I think the Cartoon Network Hotel was an interesting experiment, but it wasn't one that landed. I mean, even the Nickelodeon Hotel lasted longer. I can't speak from experience as for the hotel itself, like the actual suites or the rooms or whatever. From, you know, when I was leaving, I saw like room service dealing with some of that, and it looked fine. It looked like most of it went into the suites themselves from the advertisement and some of the videos I've seen of people talking about it. I think it's easy to see why the Nickelodeon one lasted a little bit longer, because they leaned a little bit more into the Nickelodeon branding. There was a little bit more variety, maybe not now, because I feel like nowadays it probably just would have been, it's SpongeBob and Loud House and whatever else is popular. Out of the three, I think it's easy to see why Disney lasted so long, because it was an innovator, and obviously, you know, Disney has its financial ways to stay afloat. But Nickelodeon, they had to play second fiddle. Before they opened their own theme park, they had to work with other places like Universal, or they had to work with that hotel line, which eventually just went back to the original hotel line before they eventually shut down the Nick Hotel. Cartoon Network, I mean, unless Warner wants to go all in and create their own theme park with the Cartoon Network area, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, for what it is, it's definitely an interesting point in history. More than likely it'll make an interesting Defunctland video. That's for sure. The history of it is interesting, to say the least. I mean, the fact that it's part of Pennsylvania history is also even more of a shock. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with Cartoon Network trying to branch out into the world of real estate and themed live entertainment. We'll have to see if they eventually try to dip their toes in that yet again. But yeah, RIP Cartoon Network Hotel, from 2020 to 2026. But anyway, as for what we're talking about next time, we're going to be doing a commentary video, and we're going to be watching another terrible live-action Ninja Turtles special. It's not the same thing as the Christmas special or the Coming Out of Their Shells tours, but it's going to be on that level. We're going to be talking about Turtle Tunes. But until then, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough.